The fate of government legislation to involve Telstra in the rollout of the national broadband network remains up in the air tonight, in the crucial last few days of Parliament for the year. Its passage is in the hands of Independent Senator Nick Xenophon and Family First Senator Steve Fielding, who are yet to make up their minds. The Greens are now on board, but like the Independents in both houses, they're complaining over the government's continued refusal to publicly release the NBN business plan before the Senate vote this week. The government has warned any delay will add to the cost of the $43 billion network. Political editor Heather Hewitt.
Now is the time to have a system-wide inquiry into the financial services system.
This certainly is a week for serious discussion about the climate.
Just 3 sleeps to go now before this parliamentary year ends and they all go home. In the traditional chaos of the final sitting week, they're all trying to seize the limelight on a diverse range of issues, though this seems unlikely to grip a nation more than ready for a break from politics. True to form, right to the last, there's a major sticking point that threatens a critical piece of government legislation.
Is this how the last week of Parliament should be?
I think Rob Oakeshott once said that this new Parliament, this new paradigm is going to be ugly but beautiful. I don't know if there's going to be too much beauty in it by the end of this week. I think it's just going to be ugly.
It's the national broadband network and a bill enabling Telstra to participate in its rollout that's causing all the angst. The issue dominated question time in both chambers of Parliament this afternoon. In particular, the government's refusal to release NBN Co's business plan before senators have to vote on the legislation.
Prime Minister, have you read the NBN business plan? And if so, why can't everyone else?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And obviously the government is working through its internal processes, including cabinet processes about this matter, and I'm not intending to comment on them publicly. And if that means that the opposition is going to scream and shout like a pack of school children, well, I will allow them to do that.
Maybe so, but it's the Greens, Family First Senator Steve Fielding and Independent Senator Nick Xenophon the government has to worry about here to get its legislation through the Senate before the week is out. The Greens are playing ball now after the government made one concession during weekend negotiations to allow Parliament to veto the sale of the NBN after it's built.
I'll put in the public domain right now, we won't be supporting any further attempts to delay the bill.
There are more NBN bills to come, but the Telstra bill is the one the government needs passed first. With the Green support, it still must have the backing of Independent Nick Xenophon and Family First Senator Fielding for successful passage. Senator Xenophon is not happy about the government's offer to show them all the business plan if they signed a confidentiality agreement lasting 7 years, later cut back to 2 weeks.
I just think it's fundamentally absurd to sign a confidentiality agreement initially with a 7-year non-disclosure term was absurd. Then it was changed to 3 years. Now there's a suggestion that it'll only be until the government decides to release information publicly, which is how long is a piece of string.
I sit on a couple of foreign affairs and defence committees, and I visited spy bases. We've had confidential briefings from the Chief of Defence, Chief of the Army and so on. Quite sensitive national security issues discussed at those meetings. No one's ever put a document in front of me forcing me to sign a 7-year non-disclosure agreement. I think we risk elevating commercial and confidence concerns above the status of national security concerns. I think we've actually crossed a rather dangerous line there.
The government maintains the business plan is 400 pages long and still hasn't been before Cabinet, but it will be released next month. It's an argument that doesn't wash with the Greens or Senator Xenophon, who have refused to sign the confidentiality agreement. Though Senator Xenophon did hold talks today with the NBN chief, the head of Telstra, and Finance Minister Penny Wong. He still wants to see the plan.
And it is making it very difficult for me to make a decision with good conscience and in good faith on the basis of a lack of key information.
Can you see the bill not going through this week, being defeated?
look, anything is possible.
In denying the release of the NBN business plan, they burnt the goodwill of the crossbenchers, and the numbers are very finely balanced in here and also in the House, and I think they couldn't afford to burn that goodwill. If the crossbench senators choose to delay or to vote against the bill, I think that no one will be more responsible than the government.
One option, not a great option, is for Parliament to come back in a couple of weeks' time. I think I'd incur the ire of 225 of my colleagues in both houses if that happened, but that is a potential option, but I'm hoping it doesn't get to that.
So does the government, but anything is possible right now. Senator Steve Fielding did sign the confidentiality agreement along with some independents from the lower house, and they were given briefings today. But Senator Fielding hasn't decided how he'll vote and is declining interviews. Communications Minister Steve Conroy was also unavailable this afternoon. On top of all this, Senator Xenophon, like the opposition, favours an inquiry by the Productivity Commission with broader terms of reference than those suggested by Malcolm Turnbull.
If the Productivity Commission could report in 6 months' time, any determination, any report of the Productivity Commission would not be binding on government, but it could add to the public debate.
It's been a strange and unpredictable political year that just gets stranger as it draws to a close. The Telstra bill is testimony to that. So too is this development on ABC News 24 late today, when a panel discussion with politicians was suddenly interrupted.
Is the division required? Ring the bells, please, for 4 minutes.
I've been waiting for this to happen since the very outset. But Kelly, there's a division. You have 4 minutes to make it, and your time starts. In fact, your time started a few seconds ago. So I think the shortest way is if you go down via Aussies and across the chamber.
For the record, the newly elected Victorian Liberal MP, Kelly O'Dwyer, did make it back to the House in time to vote.